I have family who lives in El Paso. This is personal now. That means I'm going to stop repeating bylines, stop repeating slogans, and really start trying to fix this problem. A lot of people have commented, a lot of people have tried to figure out what it is that's been causing the rise in sarcastic terror, as it's been called. Just forewarning, I'm going to leave a lot of videos in the underbar, and probably a lot somewhere over here. A lot has been said about that. Some people think that restricting guns will help. I'm not convinced of that, not entirely, although I'm not opposed to a gun restriction legislation. Some people think that it's violent video games, which is no different than them saying fucking comic books were the cause of gang violence in the 50s. Some people think it's mental illness. Almost everyone in my family has some form of mental illness. Literally, almost every person in my family. That's everyone who I know in my family. That's over 100 people. And I think I only know of one of them who's ever killed a person. And none of them have turned into mass shooters. So, based on personal experience alone, I'm gonna have to say that mental illness isn't even really the problem. No. I have a different idea. What we know about these fascists, these white nationalists, who commit these acts of sarcastic terror, is that they have a worldview based on fear. Fear of the other. Fear of brown people. They're afraid of being replaced in some capacity by brown people. They're afraid of brown people getting jobs and benefits that they feel they deserve. They're afraid that their children are going to have cinnamon or fucking coffee-flavored babies with coffee or cinnamon-colored babies with brown people. That's common knowledge. That's something anyone will admit. What I don't think a lot of people will admit, what I don't think a lot of people, well, a lot of white people anyway, will say is that that fear comes from somewhere. And we know where it comes from. It comes from the media. It used to be that there was one TV to a household, if that. Nowadays, every room in a house has a television. And there's the main television in the main room. And that's to say nothing of, like, computers, or smartphones, or stuff like that. Media is so suffused and so smothering in our society that it's impossible to get away from. You can't. People used to fucking go fishing. People used to go out to the park. People used to go fucking, I don't know, go fucking bowling or something. You can't do that anymore. The lakes are all polluted. There's no fish. The parks all have billboards. And fucking the bowling alleys, every office, every fucking major building in this world, in this country, has a TV hooked up to fucking cable news. And that's not a problem in and of itself. If the media was giving people a diet of factual information, of things that were true, there wouldn't be a problem. But we have entire institutions, very wealthy, very powerful institutions, that are dedicated to misinforming people. Institutions like Fox News, institutions like the GOP, institutions like fucking Breitbart. And every day, these institutions and people in these institutions stoke those fears that those fascists have. I've been trying to feature videos from different users for a very short time. And I shared some videos in my community tab, if you want to look, a pair of videos. One of them was Fox News perpetuating the myth of the white replacement, something that they've been hammering really hard, especially Tucker Carlson over at Fox News. And the second one was Fox News blaming everyone except themselves, except guns, and except white nationalism for the shootings, for these acts of terror. I don't think they would even have the gall to describe them as acts of terror. We need solutions. I don't have solutions. I don't think there's any silver bullet to fix things. I don't know how to make this end. But I do know how to make it start ending. Something that I noticed, not just watching Fox News, but reading coverage of the incident and listening to people talk about the incident, is that no one, at least no one in the media, is calling it what it is. White terror. These are acts of terrorism. Acts of sarcastic terrorism. Not just perpetuated by white people. That's not what I'm saying. They are perpetuated by people who have a white nationalist, white supremacist worldview. And people are saying that, but they aren't connecting the two things. We need to start doing that. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember 9/11, but I am pretty sure that I don't need to explain to any of you what happened that day, beyond maybe the basics. The Twin Towers in New York, the World Trade Centers, collapsed, and I think it was Building 7 also collapsed due to damage from having two buildings fall on top of it. A little over 3,000 people died, and thousands more died over the course of the years due to complications from rescue efforts and being dug out of rubble. What maybe a lot of people don't remember is that in the wake of those attacks, in the wake of those people committing these heinous acts of terror, those people being Al-Qaeda, by the way, in the wake of Al-Qaeda attacking us, we created entirely new departments of the government in order to go over and fight people overseas. We dramatized those departments too in Emmy award-winning television series such as Jack Bauer tortures every Muslim in the world, even the ones that aren't terrorists. But now that the threat is white terror, the GOP, the same people who pushed so hard for those new departments to be created, who pushed so hard to push people overseas and have them commit atrocity after fucking atrocity to people who done them no wrong. The GOP who lied, bold-faced, to the entire American public about their reasons for wanting to go to war. Something that still galls me to this day. Now that it's white terror, terror that they're perpetuating, that they're having to face. Nothing. No, less than nothing. They are purposely disempowering every organization, every government organization, from addressing this problem, from even researching the problem. So that's where we start. We start confronting lawmakers about white terror. We ask them what they're going to do about it. And I don't just mean angry Facebook posts. No, that's... anyone can make an angry Facebook post. I hate doing this. I hate telling people that they're not doing enough, but this isn't going to be something... it's not going to be enough to fucking yell at people over Facebook or Twitter or even YouTube. I've let people know, because I can't transport myself, I can't drive, I've let people know that the next time an elected representative, a federal representative, in my case, that would be the Senator Dick Durbin or the Congressman Rodney Davis, or if I'm really desperate, maybe the Congressman Darren LaHood. The next time one of them has a public appearance where people are allowed to ask them questions, something like a town hall, I've informed them that I want to go down there and ask them some very pointed questions about white terror, and why nothing is being done about it. Why the FBI says that they can't combat white terror because they don't have the authority to, and how we could grant them the authority to do that. We need to start confronting lawmakers in public. We need to start confronting lawmakers in their offices. We need to start confronting lawmakers when they're eating lunch. Do that. That's good. That spooked those people. Don't do violence. I would never suggest to do violence, not just because it's a bad idea in general, but because that'll make them cloister themselves up more. But find them and shout in their faces, "We are having an epidemic of white terror. What are you going to do about the white terror?" Because that's what we need to start calling it. That's where we start. We call this what it is. We state it plainly. I don't know where to go from there. I'm sure there are other smarter people than me that'll have some idea. But that's step one. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what that problem is. And we know what the problem is. It's white terror. Don't forget it.